Hello friends, it's Allison Vanderslice and thank you for joining me in another video. Today we're going to be taking vellum and using Sharpies to create a Sharpie background, or kind of like an alcohol ink background that I've been seeing around a lot lately on YouTube and TikTok. Right now I'm just going to take an 8.5 by 11 piece of vellum and quarter it. So I'm going to cut it at 4 1/4 inches and then rotate those strips and cut them each at 5.5 inches. Here are the materials we'll need to create the backgrounds. Of course, we'll need Sharpies. I'm going to put down a piece of cardboard to protect my work surface. We'll need a small container to hold our rubbing alcohol, and then a paintbrush. I'm going to put some rubbing alcohol into my small container. Here's one of the quartered pieces of vellum that we cut earlier. And then we're going to need a straw. This one's a silicone straw, that's why it's a little bit flimsy or wobbly looking. This was my first time doing this after watching a couple videos on YouTube, and they were using alcohol inks or alcohol blending markers like Copics, or I forget what the Stampin' Up! Ones are called, but I didn't know any of those. I am just using Sharpies because that is the alcohol marker base that I have. So what I'm doing now is I'm just drawing random little blobs, and I'm going to do one at a time and then put a little bit of rubbing alcohol on it and then take my straw and blow it. This is going to make it have some crazy shapes and patterns, kind of like splotches. The videos that I've seen, they also have like little pumps that they use with their hands instead of straws, and I think that would be useful if I want to continue this in the future. But right now, for what I've been doing, the straw has been helpful. After I'm finished with the yellow, I'm going to switch to orange, so I'm going to just clean off my paintbrush before I do that. I'm just going to wipe it off on a paper towel. Then we'll do the same thing with the orange. We'll put down our splotches, take some of the rubbing alcohol and put it on top of the splotch, and then we will blow it around. Now, since this was my first one, I didn't know if I needed a lot of rubbing alcohol or not, so I've been doing a little bit at a time. I did find that later on I could and probably should have put more on during this time because it helps it move a little bit more, and you'll see that later. Now, the final product of these cards today are going to be Mother's Day cards, which I know is completely late since that happened in May, but you can use these for any occasions. I'm just going to continue to go around with the orange Sharpie, doing the same process of putting it down and then adding the rubbing alcohol and blowing it. I'm going to come back in with the yellow to fill in a couple more spots and just to give a little bit more yellow to help add some more contrast. When you reapply the rubbing alcohol to the Sharpie that you had already blown, it does kind of reactivate a little tiny bit, and I do think it's cool because you get these different textures and different shades in there. I didn't have to go all the way out to the edges if I didn't want to, because I was going to die cut from these pieces. I also thought maybe I could use one as a bigger piece of background as well, since I had an extra piece left over. I'm just going to keep repeating the process with the yellow and orange, putting it on the paper, adding the rubbing alcohol on top and blowing until I feel like the paper is full and I liked how it looked. And there's my first background that I created with the Sharpies and rubbing alcohol. I really liked how this turned out for the first time doing it. I'm going to switch gears now, and instead of using yellow and orange, I'm going to do blue and purple. For this process of the background, I am going to put on a little bit of music for you while you enjoy the creating. I'm going to use a Wish for Everything stamp set from Stampin' Up, and we'll use Happy Mother's Day, and then the inside sentiment will say, just a little reminder that you are loved. As I'm applying the stamps to my acrylic block, I'm just going to let you know we're going to be using the Versamark embossing ink pad. And then we will also be using silver embossing powder as well. Before I actually stamp my sentiment, I want to make sure it's straight. So I'm just going to take this silver ink pad that I have that I got off of Amazon in a pack. And I'm just going to stamp down onto a scrap piece of paper just to check to see if it needs to make any adjustments to it or if I just need to hold my acrylic block a little bit on a slant. I'm going to take the Taylor tag punch from Stampin' Up and then just stamp out a couple of these punches just from scrap paper. You saw the little elves on there from a Christmas card. After I do that, I will do the anti-powder static tool. Then I will go ahead and put the stamp down onto the tags. I'll put the embossing powder on and then we will heat set it. I decided to have them go in 2 different directions just to change up the card fronts a little bit from each other. I'm going to pull in my little heat box that I made. It's just a small box with aluminum foil folded on the bottom, and this just helps heat up the back side of the paper just to make it go a little bit faster, especially if you're doing a lot of sentiments at one time. I think I showed you that in a slice it up video before. I'm going to come in now with some shimmer paper, and I'm going to grab silver to match the blue and the purple card front. And for this, I'm just going to come back in with that tailor punch tag again and just punch out from one of those silver shimmer pages. Now the vellum does warp a little bit, so I did put it in some books and flatten them out some, but as you can see, they were still kind of warped. We are going to be running them through a die cutting machine, so that will help flatten them out, but also the adhesive will make them a little bit flatter. I'm going to come in now with my layered heart dies. I have a scalloped edge and then a flat edge. And I am going to just pick a size that I think would work best with our heart. This is going to be the focal point and really the only thing on the front of the card other than the sentiment. I'm going to move the heart around on the background to see where the placement is best. And then I will go ahead and put that down with a piece of washi tape so it runs smoothly through the die cutting machine without moving. Once it's out from the machine, it will look something like this. And then I'm going to put it underneath my little magnet strip holder for the heart die cuts. Then I'm going to do the same process with the blue and purple background. Pick out where I think it looks best, put the heart down with the washi tape, and run it through the die cutting machine. I'm going to use a light blue pre-made card base. I got this in a pack off of Amazon. It also comes with matching envelopes. And I really liked how this worked with the blue and purple background. I thought I was going to use the yellow card base for the yellow and orange, but the yellow Sharpie just blended in too much and I didn't like the contrast of it. So I'm going to switch it out for a white cardstock instead. To adhere the hearts, I'm just going to use tape runner all along the outside. Since it is a covered background, you won't really be able to see it too much through the vellum on the card front. So I just put it down wherever I felt like I needed to put it. Since it was warped, I did have to go back and just put a little bit more on than I had anticipated, but that was fine. It worked out well with the roller. And I'm going to do the same thing with the blue and purple heart. I'll put the tape on the outside and then adhere it to the card front, but this time I'm going to do it landscape. I had gone in previously and did the insides with just a little reminder that you are loved on the blue one you see here and the yellow one, and I stamped them both portrait style. So I need to go in and fix this one. So I'm going to take one of my punches and punch out a scrap piece of paper and then stamp the sentiment again and just adhere it over top of that sentiment I had already stamped in previously. You can always fix your mistakes. Now I'm going to come in with our sentiments and I'm going to double them up with the shimmer paper. So I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on the shimmer side of the paper and then layer the sentiment a little bit on top of the shimmer paper. So that way it is going to show on the bottom. This is just going to create a little bit of a border to add a pop to that sentiment so it stands off of the white cardstock base. I'm going to put some of the adhesive onto the sentiment and adhere it to the card front. For For this next one, I'm going to put the adhesive on the sentiment side, and then I'm going to make the border on the left side of the sentiment tag. You can do this however you want. I've even sliced the middle of the matte layer and then put it on both sides of the sentiment tag just to give it border on both sides so you're not wasting as much paper. Then I'm going to adhere that to the card front as well, and there you have our 2 Mother's Day cards. Now you can leave them like this, which I was planning on doing, but then I realized I had some matching sequins that I could add on just to give it a little bit more pop and pizzazz. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to each of these card fronts. Right now I'm using a Tombow Mono Sand Eraser just to erase any stray markings that I might have picked up or any stray adhesive that might be around on my card front. I'm just going to place a few dots of liquid glue on the card fronts, and then I will put the sequins on top of that. Now I know these are Mother's Day cards, but again, you can use these for any holidays or occasions that you would like. I really liked how these turned out, and I'm looking forward to trying it out again with different colors once I get back into school and have access to more of my Sharpies. I just actually received a pack of alcohol markers from my sister, so I'm thinking I might want to try that out with those as well. Let me know if you would like to see a video or at least just the outcome of those cards if I am able to make them. I'm just going to continue to add the sequins to both card fronts, and I'll just add a little bit more music for you while you watch this creating process. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope that you liked it. I really enjoyed making these Sharpie backgrounds, and I'm looking forward to trying it again. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to watch more of my content, feel free to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye!